pushing. But man, this takes me into sometimes the experts are idiots. They told Steph Curry back when he was coming out of the draft, I remember Jay Bilas saying this, was that he has to work on his shot selection because the way he was playing just wasn't going to translate to the NBA game. And, he wasn't highly recruited out of high school. And, he should have been the first overall pick. And he got passed on twice by Minnesota, who also drafted point guards. Hell of an organization they have there. But the point that I'm saying about sometimes the experts are idiots. Sometimes people are before their time. Sometimes the things that people do, the way they think is different from the status quo. And because it's different from the status quo, we want to say that it's wrong. We want to say that it's that they have to adjust when actually they're ahead of us and it's time for us to adjust. So I use Steph Curry because he's a great example of this. But another person who fits into this is Dave Chappelle. When he walked away from his $50 million, we said he was crazy. Like, oh my God, how can you walk away from all that money? Chappelle is crazy. He don't know what he's doing. He's on drugs. He's going off the face of the earth. No, man. He just was in a different space. He was light years ahead of many people. He was somebody, he before the player empowerment era, where he was somebody that said, hey, I know my worth. If you're not going to give me what I'm worth, I'm not going to give you my product or my service. Will you be okay as a big organization? Sure. But are you going to take a hit when I leave? Yeah, obviously. But am I going to let you taint what it is that I bring to the table or taint who I am to my people? If I can't look in the mirror and be happy with myself, am I going to continue doing what I'm doing? Absolutely not. And now we're in a place where who do we listen to? So much of what we consume and take as gospel is on social media. Now, there's a large portion of the world who's not on social media, and they still consume forms of mainstream media. But how many of us truly trust mainstream media? Because we also know that they have an agenda, and their agenda is not necessarily informing the people. And they tell us we should go to the news to get our information. But if I go to a news channel and almost everything I see on the network is an opinion-based show, then what the hell am I watching? So I say sometimes the experts are the idiots because they're not really as smart as we paint them out to be, but they're in a position in which we respect. So we think that we're supposed to listen to them because no one would say, hey, you should listen to an athlete or you should listen to a comedian to get a political opinion, to get an informed business decision. You should listen to them on how to lead your life because, oh, he's just a dumb comedian. Oh, he's just a dumb jock. That's what the experts once told us. But that's not true. Again, we talk about those people who are in that 5%, the cream of the crop, right? Not the bottom of the slop, but the cream of the crop, right? Guess what some of those people fall into? They are those people. And I've came on here and said, hey, we got to stop worshiping celebrities just because they're celebrities and not necessarily listen to them all the time. And I'm sitting here and I'm questioning myself because why I've been wired to think this way that, oh, he's just an actor. Oh, he's just an athlete. But if you think about people who are successful, who are at the top of what they do, I'm not talking about your average person who's just there and they're talented. But I mean, the successful ones, the ones who have diversified their options, the ones who can dibble and dabble in different things like your LeBron Jameses of the world, those types of people. It's okay to listen to them every now and then because the people that they tell you to listen to are, I don't know. I've just been consuming so much media lately. And I've been listening to a lot of sports podcasts, which I do. And I hear them talk about players and how players are this type of person or that type of person. I go, Maybe they are, but you don't understand the context. You don't even understand. You don't understand where they're coming from. You don't understand the person, right? Because they told us Lamar Jackson should play running back when he came out of college, and then he turned around and won an MVP. They didn't like the way that Patrick Mahomes played the game of football, and now he's the MVP, a Super Bowl MVP, and he might do both this season again. So sometimes those people whose voices that we listen to, we probably shouldn't, because they are experts in their way of thinking. But guess what? The world is changing every day, and they're not changing with the world. Because see, here's what happens. When if they have to adjust to the world, then they're no longer experts, and they don't want to lose their power. And that's what we're seeing today in politics, right? We're living politics in a social media world, and it's so different than when the Constitution was written, right? We used to think, I tell you, the only things that don't get better, they get better with time, are wine, Michael Jordan, and the Founding Fathers. Everything else eventually became obsolete, and the next version got better. This computer that I have right now, this laptop that I'm recording from, is better than a laptop that I recorded from 3 years ago. And better than the desktop that I had in my mom's house 12 years ago, 15 years ago, right? The computer's getting better. Our TVs are getting better. Our phones are getting better. Each iPhone gets better with each version. But yet, we say, you know what? The way we were told to live our lives in 1783, and the way we were told to govern in 1783 is the best way in which we should govern. And I just don't know about that. Now, I'm not saying we need to rip up the Constitution and uprising. No, I'm not saying that at all. But here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that nobody back then knew what social media was. Nobody knew what Twitter would be. Nobody knew that you could just get on here and say whatever you wanted to say. And if you have a blue check mark by your name, what you say then becomes valid. And now these platforms are monitoring what people say and fact checking it. And now your freedom of speech is being restricted. Should it be restricted? I don't know. Because I'm all for let people say what they want to say and do what they want to do and deal with the consequences. But I'm also mindful that there are influential people who say things that may or may not be true. And I'm not talking about true from their perspective, right? Just outright falsities. And they put that out there, and then it gives it legs. And what we're seeing today is people using falsities, and it is watering down our democracy. It is weakening our democracy. And I don't know how we get there. I don't know how we get to a place to where we can have the democracy that we believe that we have in a social media era. I think there needs to be some fixing. Now, through the system that we have, the bureaucracy, the fixing ain't gonna happen. Because the bureaucracy is set up. It was set up to operate the way that it was built to operate, right? So the changes that we want to happen aren't easy for those of us who are radical and want immediate and effective change. That can't happen. There's steps. And why? Because maybe because we're so fast moving and microwave now. We need something that is stable to keep us afloat, right? Because if everybody's all over the place, moving back and forth like this, we don't have any stability and we have nothing, because everything is constantly changing and we need some constants. So maybe the constant is this bureaucracy that we have. But it looks like this bureaucracy is being ripped at its seams. It's being ripped at its seams by a lot of powerful people from all sides, from left and right, from top and bottom. And The question I ask is this: what we need? Do we need the constant, or do we need something that adjusts with our behavior?